Hello and welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters. My name is Ann Pinkava and joined, as always, by the lovely Deplorable Knitter. And I was about to give the tagline, your knitting news source, but we're going to be a little less newsy today, a little more holiday cheer.
Yeah, a little more knitting, a little less news. I have been up to my eyeballs in Stop the Steal hats, so I can talk to you all day long about how fabulous they are and how many orders we've gotten out, but I don't have a lot of other knowledge.
I know, and so much of the news is, Electoral College has met, but technically the only date in the Constitution is January the 20th. So there's contested stuff here, and Trump had an executive order a few years back of if there's foreign election interference, that the amount of time to deal with that is longer. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff going on, but it's we're waiting for it to shake out. There's not a lot of, and I can bring you stuff about this now.
Right. It's a lot of some people say this is happening, some people say this is going to happen, and so there's not a lot of hey, this is happening. Although something interesting did break, but there's just not a lot of information on it. But a little last night they said that there was evidence of foreign election interference. Mm-hmm. So that was tweeted out by a CBS reporter. Right. I haven't seen much else on it yet, so interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But right now, other than yes, there's evidence, they don't really say what it is or what happens, or right. So we're just going to kind of hang out and see where that goes.
So. Right. Not a whole lot that we can really talk about right now. Well, we could speculate, but nothing like.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could talk about it all day long, but Anne and I have decided that we have lots of knitting news, and I have a fabulous story to tell you guys, and things like that. So that's where we're going to go.
Yeah. Anyways, I've been kind of under the weather for the past couple of days too, so it's like, okay, so we're going to talk about this. All right. So.
Yeah, I was kind of banking on Anne knowing what was going on with politics because, like I said, I've been doing a lot of knitting, mm-hmm. and come to find out, my news gal hasn't been watching much news because she doesn't feel good. So it didn't work out this time. Usually I can just count on Anne.
That's true. Though, so I was telling you before, I did watch, it was a Beyond Brexit Zoom conference thing. And that was Lawrence Fox and Brendan O'Neill and Calvin Robinson. So, but even then, that wasn't even a lot of British news. It was sort of like a, everyone come together and chat for a bit thing. So I'm like, okay.
So I think that you're probably the only person I know that even knew that was going to happen.
Exactly. I know. And I'm just sitting there and, so part of Brexit news is that they're trying to rename. They went to the British Electoral Commission, so the Brexit Party would now be called the Reform Party, and they've stalled it so long, and they're like, "Hi, we need to get candidates in office," and I don't know. And again, not English, but I'm like, just keep your name as the Brexit Party. People know what Brexit means. Why do you have to be the Reform Party? Brexit means Brexit, and you're the Brexit Party, and you still have issues with Brexit, but still, I mean, the Electoral Commission dragging its feet, that's, bad. That's not something right. That's not acceptable, but I don't really see why the name change is so pertinent. But anyways, so yeah, see, it's the two sides of the Atlantic having the same issue of you have some people who are like, yeah, we got to move beyond Brexit, and no, Brexit is fundamentally saying that Britons have the right to have their own future and have their own destiny over their future. And then on this side, it's Trumpism without Trump. I'm like, oh, that's not going to work either. You see, you're missing it. Oh, we need to return back to the Republican Party days when we can vote for sad saps like Romney all the time. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's just not, no, you're missing it. You're missing the entire point.
No, nobody wants that anymore.
Mhm.
And to try to go back there, I think that it's just going to cause so much more strife, and so many people are sick of the status quo, and that's the problem.
Right.
On both sides. I mean, seriously, on both sides, there's a lot of people who are sick of how things have been. We don't
Right.
agree on where they should go, but that is a commonality that we have. So,
Right.
but I don't know. So
There
Anne's
it
going to
is.
tell us about her fabulous new pattern that she actually remembered to release.
Yay! And speaking of not being British, I feel like I should say again that I'm not Jewish. Really. And it's not as if I have any problem being mistaken for Jewish, but as a technical term, I am not. So I got
Anne just has a love of other countries, in case you have not yet noticed.
I know. I am team Western civilization. I'm most team America because I'm American, but I am team Western civilization, and I believe that includes Israel.
If you look at her patterns, we've got Brexit, we've got Hong Kong, we've got Taiwan, and now the Israel beanie. So,
right.
Anne is a fan of our allies.
Exactly. I am hot for Judeo-Christian values and also anti-China. So let's just get that out there. I am anti-communist and I am pro. So anyways, and the reason I bring up, so Israeli beanie, it's out. I have that dog. Jenna, run away. Anyways, Israeli beanie pattern is out. It is on Galilee Life. It is on Lovecrafts. It is reluctantly on Etsy. I know we're all trying to get off Etsy, but it is on Etsy if you're absolutely for that, whatever. But
reluctantly on Etsy.
Right. 1 second. I gotta manage that dog.
That's okay. I wanted to tell you that I am so proud of you for getting your product up on Galilee Life, because I know how long things take you, and so good job. You get an A+. You get a gold star.
I get a gold star. Oh, good. See, it does. Though I only have the Israeli beanie on that. I'm having a little bit of an issue, which I should probably mention to Vone, because my Betsy Ross hat pattern, it says that the download size is too big.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but people have bought my pattern on Galley Life and they have received it, so we're good.
Awesome.
But yeah, anyways, so yeah, it's been crazy. But yes, I had someone write an unhappy comment that I had put my Israeli beanie pattern on what she considered to be a Jews for Jesus website with Galley Life. I'm like, okay, it's a Christian website, but it was as if I was trying to lure Jews away from the faith in putting a beanie pattern on it was weird. I don't quite know what was meant by that, but I mean, okay.
Galilee Life is very upfront about their Christian values, but they're also very upfront about the fact that they're not trying to change anybody's mind. If you shop on their site, they will pray for you, they will love on you, but it's not, you don't have to be a Christian, you don't have to agree with them, you don't have to. And I guess that's maybe a point you can make to your person if you choose to respond, is that it's just the site's philosophy, and that you're going to be putting all your patterns on there, and it's a platform that you're using to sell.
And again, I mean, I apologize, but you could also get it on Lovecrafts. It's
it's available. Well, and that's why we like to offer our items on different platforms, because there are different reasons that people choose not to shop on certain sites, and we don't judge. That's why we try to offer them at different places, because people have reasons.
Right. And
okay.
Yeah. And while I understand wanting to be on a platform that is sort of political or religious position neutral, which it makes sense for the majority of things. But like Etsy is also pushing an agenda. Okay. So you have Galilee Life with the woohoo, we're Christian. Yes, but Etsy is not position neutral. Like, have you seen their ads?
No,
Seriously.
I know their ads are very much letting you know what they're all about. And they gave part of the money that they earned off of me and you to Black Lives Matters and stuff. So as a principal, I have to get off of there. It's hard. I have so many reviews and I have so many sales, and that helps people find me, which it's hard to give up. I don't want to, but I need to. It's a moral conundrum, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an issue.
I know what I should do, but it's a little bit hard because I have a thriving shop on their site, and so it's difficult
Right.
to leave it. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
So I am very proud of you for publishing your pattern.
Oh,
And you did it about the time you said you would, so that's even better.
That's surprising. I know.
Unlike the Hong Kong scarf that's been
Hey,
languishing.
well, part of my thing with that is that I want to put a couple of pictures in it for the Antarja part. I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should put some, put a couple of visual aids in there. But that means that I have to get to the other flower because there's a flower on either side of the scars, and like the middle bit takes forever. Because
yeah, remember when you were saying that, oh, you guys could knit this up for Christmas in this lovely Christmas red. You sit on a throne of lies.
I know, I do. I am the literal worst. Put the crown on, the worst.
Do you know what that is from? You sit on
Elf?
a throne of lies.
Yeah,
okay.
I love Elf. So,
I just want to make sure that you know that I'm not really saying that about you.
Oh, well, it's okay. I understand that I sit on the Jenna agrees.
Of course. Why wouldn't she?
I know. She's like, you are the worst, Anne. Like, yeah, she's the worst back. And so yeah, I need to finish Hong Kong. I need to get it out there because those Hong Kongers, what a bad time. But in the meantime, because I have been, because I've been ill, I'm like, oh yeah, I should work on that. That's super easy. Did I? No. I worked. So I've had this yarn. She is so bad. Anyways, I've had this yarn for a while. So instead I made this. And
see, I love that so much.
Isn't that lovely?
And your pattern, or is it someone else's?
It is.
I gotta say my mom is good at that, because when ours were done, they turned out very nice. Unlike my Santa, who looks like somebody beat him with something. But hers turned out very nice.
Oh, good. Good. But yeah, so I'll probably, well, I want to finish this first, but I'll probably get going on a Christmas stocking. And I also
Wait,
yes,
before you go on, do they want it by Christmas?
Probably. Which is like,
did you not ask?
I haven't really replied, actually. I saw that she asked.
Yeah.
Sorry, like I said, I've had a cold. I've been like, oh man, people write me stuff, which, yeah, I don't mean to put people on holds, but you're not feeling well. People ask you questions.
It's hard to know what to answer. I know it can be difficult.
Yeah, so that is why I took out the prettiest yarn that I could find, and I just sat there and made something else.
That's funny.
But Oh, and I said before I was working on a specific trump pattern. And it's a good thing that I do samples because this is a jug-headed trump. I mean, look at him.
Something is severely wrong. You need to.
I know. Here, I'll fold him over a bit because we need probably 6 stitches taken out of the middle here.
At least.
Yeah, so if we fold them over like this, like,
Yes.
see,
And
that works.
It's still a little thick. Like you could probably take a little bit more off if you felt like it.
Right. But just as a fold over, yeah. So he needs to come in a bit, and then his hair needs to be like a row or 2 bigger. But yeah, I mean, I think you can tell who it is, though. I think that's
you can, especially since you folded him, because at first he looked like one of those Rorschach tests or whatever they're called, where you look at the ink blobs and you decide what they are.
Like, do you see Donald Trump? Well, if you do, you have an issue because that looks nothing like.
Because it kind of looks like a bat, or
right. But anyways, yeah, I even have the little swoop at the back of his head, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
Though,
it's nice.
If you've ever stared at a profile of our president and you've paid a special attention to the little thing at the back of his head does not curve around. It comes square down and there's like a little point at the bottom. But that doesn't really work in knitting. So his hair is like this now.
His head is flat in the back?
No, it comes down flat squarely. And I said, no, your head doesn't come back flat squarely. It's going to go in and come out a little bit. That's how it works.
That's how Anne says your head is not from now on. So therefore it is.
Right. Well, because if you see, I have this corner coming down. If it had come down squarely, you have looked at it and been like, yeah, that's not head shaped. That's pretty bad. And I'm like, no, that's what it looks like. Just like sorry, not to even be weirder, but the sort of president's lips, it's like he's doing duck face. But you can't get around that either because that is only 1 row and I cannot get smaller than that. So anyways, so I'm again not working as diligently as perhaps I should on that. But I am working, and this is why we do samples, because silhouettes are difficult. And we got to make sure it works out.
That's too funny, really. It's a good thing I wasn't making that because I don't do samples ever. And I would have just been like, well, Trump's got a big fat head now. That's just how life is going to be, whatever.
Like, oh, well, okay. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I have to fix it, but also I'm not going to fix it today. So I'm going to go back to my pattern later and then we'll adjust Trump's head. Because, well, again, to repeat, so the pattern is undesirable number 1 and it's Trump. So I thought that'd be funny.
It is funny.
But,
sorry, just the way you described that whole thing really was amusing to me.
Oh, good. I do live to please.
Oh, you're so much. Okay.
But anyways, so yeah, so what you knitting?
Okay, so while Anne was talking, I was knitting on, it's going to be a hat. And I took this one off the needles because I felt like you couldn't see the little pattern I was putting into it very well. So I switched yarn to one that's it's still got a little fuzz to it, but it's got more depth. So I think that you'll be able to see what I have going on, because it's got like different colors of gray and like white in there. So it'll I think it'll show off what I'm trying to do a little bit better.
Right.
But I know I should not be knitting on anything that does not say stop the steal. But number 1, I can't do that when I'm talking because I have to pay attention to where the colors go. And so I was informed last week I seemed a little bit distracted, and I think it's because I was doing stranded knitting. So I'm not doing that today. And I was telling Anne, my stepbrother got engaged this past week, and so his fiance has never celebrated Christmas. And so just because she's like very nice and she's super awesome to my kids, and so it's going to be her first Christmas with our family. So I just wanted to make her something, but it's why I'm using bulky yarn and big old needles so that even though I'm going to make her something lovely, it's going to take me like 3 hours, and then I can go back to my Stop the Steal hats.
Right.
But here's another one. So we have shipped out 10 so far.
Wow.
So we're making really good progress. And I've got a few more that need to be blocked. Maybe not quite 10. I have it written down somewhere. It's one of those things that I don't want to get myself disappointed. So I have a vague idea of how much we have done, but I don't want to be like, oh, we've got 15 done and then find out it's 8, or, I'm trying to underestimate so that, but yeah, so here's a Stop the Steal, just in case you haven't been watching us and you have no idea what I'm talking about. My hat that was censored on Etsy.
Yay.
But so I got a ton of orders. Thank you so much. And I've had a lot of pattern sales too, and I super appreciate it. But last week I was telling Anne that I had trouble getting my hands on red yarn. That I had ordered some and it turned out to be very maroon and it was very wrong. So people were concerned about me getting red yarn. I just wanted to show you guys that now I have all the kinds of red yarn. I have all of them. So we're all set.
We have all of it.
I have every single one. And for some reason, I got a shipping order after my red package came, because I ordered a package of just red once all of the reds were wrong. Once they were maroon, I went and I ordered all of the Christmas reds I could find so that I would have them. And I got a shipping notification that it was coming again. So I don't know if I'm gonna like actually have a swimming pool full of red yarn by the time this is done or not, but I'm not gonna complain about it because I'm happy. I'm happy to have red yarn.
Right. You need a lot of it.
But I need a lot of it, and in my designs I often use red, so it's like totally not bad to have. I had just gotten to the point with COVID where I wasn't going to my local yarn store and I didn't have it in stock anymore, and I hadn't really been, I don't know, I guess my stuff wasn't that patriotic lately or something. Like I didn't need it, so I didn't notice it was gone until I needed it, and then there was none and it was bad.
Oh no.
But I know I said that there were going to be no patterns for December because of the need to fill the orders for the Stop the Steal hat. But if this thing that I'm working on works out the way I plan, there will be a new pattern. It'll be a chunky knit, and hopefully it'll be out soon so that, if you remember that you have someone you wanted to give a gift to and you totally forgot, yay!
Yay, you win.
Because that's the worst. Like last year, there was I always forget school bus drivers. Like a lot of parents do the school bus drivers, do presents for them, and I always forget. So last year, I was able to whip up a ear warmer, like a chunky cabled ear warmer, and I had a couple extra, and I ended up giving them to like all kinds of people because I was like, oh, I forgot about you. Here, have that ear warmer.
Here. Silly me, I'd never forget.
Yeah, I totally didn't forget you. And I didn't bring this because I saw all of the other parents walking in with their gifts, and I didn't run home and get it and come back. Never. Oh. I totally didn't do that last year.
I am always on top of things.
I am never on top of things. Ask my husband. I never know what I'm doing. Oh, and he is like an organized guy, and I am like so unorganized. And sometimes he goes, please help me do this because I can't stand it anymore. And I'll be like, all right.
Okay.
But hey, that's what it is. That's 8 years of marriage. So I was telling Anne has not heard my marriage story yet. My husband and I are celebrating our 8th anniversary. And our anniversary is on December 21st. Because we got married the year the Mayan calendar was supposed to end.
Okay.
My husband and I, we were set up on a blind date, and we worked together, but I didn't know him until one of my coworkers said, "You got to go out with this guy," and I'm like, I guess I'll go out with him. And then so because we worked together though, people were constantly like, "So when are you guys gonna get married? When are you guys gonna get married?" And him thinking he's so like funny and whatever, he'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna get married when the world ends." And then we really decided to get married, and then the Mayan calendar was ending, and we were like, "Well, now we have to get married on that day because that's what you've always said." So
Right.
we were like, either the world will end or we'll be married. And his joke was either the world will end or the world will end. But so yeah, that's my story about that. And my poor husband has no gift because I'm not on top of things. And
Oh man.
I was working on that not houndstooth, that buffalo plaid hat. Did I ever show you guys that?
I'm not sure that you did.
It probably won't be finished because, I have other things that became priorities. Jeez. And now, okay, I probably never showed you guys because I had other more pressing things I was working on. But and now I'm gonna have to clean my knitting supply area because when I pulled the hat out, everything just fell down and it's a disaster. But this is the hat. This was going to be December's pattern. This hat. It's got a rolled brim and it's got the nice plaid, and it's acrylic because my husband, I make him wool hats and then he tells me how itchy they are. So and I don't mind. I'm not a snob. I work with acrylic just as much as anything else, but I love it. And he's kind of he's a no frills guy. So he was happy with something very, I think that's about as fancy as I could get him to wear. But with the gray and the black, I figured it would work out. But I think because of how it's knit, it won't be done by our anniversary because I have to work out how to do the decreases.
Right.
And keep the pattern going and keep it right. And that's more brain power than I have to devote to it right now. And it will go in the pile of things that I've made for him that have never gotten finished, like his sweater and his blanket. So
there you go.
Poor dude. I love him, but he always ends up at the bottom of the list, unfortunately. I feel bad about that.
Don't worry, I'll get there.
It'll get done someday. And every year after Christmas, I say, I'm going to sit down and work on that. And then I get distracted by fancy, pretty yarn and new patterns. And then I wander away and it never gets done. Poor guy.
Oh, well.
But hey, he still keeps me after all this time. It works out.
That's all right.
But yeah, so now I really feel like I should get that done.
Well,
I have so much stuff. I have the blanket I was working on that is not going to get done by Christmas. I've already told that person that their gift is going to be behind. See, every year, Anne, I wait too long and then something comes up.
I know.
And then I don't do it. It's just bad business.
Well, this year, like last year, I did the Weasley sweaters, which was quite a lot of knitting, and they were late anyways. But that was last year's Christmas knitting plan, and this year I'm like, nah. Like this cowl is a Christmas gift, and like I said, I'll probably have to stop and do a stocking and Hong Kong and everything else, but. It's like, well, like the Cedar Hill yarn, stock yarn that I got because I'm going to do a giveaway, and isn't that great? That I have my own sock set of this. It's all wound up and it's all lovely and it's self-striping, and I just make myself a pair of socks, and I wanted to get it going to sort of show it off. And have I? No, it's in my knitting bag, but it's not. It will be really nice when it is done. It's beautiful colors, but
I think that that's the curse of being a knitter or a crafter of whatever. You have all of these plans and then life happens and then, oh, let me tell you about homeschooling.
Oh
Want to
man,
know how many days we've schooled this week?
how many?
Two.
Yeah. Well,
Because,
week's not over. Close to being over, but it's not over.
well, we'll get another day in. But yeah, I was supposed to do 5 days this week because the husband's off all next week, and we don't do school when he's off. It's way more fun to, like, go sledding or watch movies or whatever else we can do together, right? So
yeah, it's Christmas. Come on.
exactly. But oh well. I'm not even going to sweat it anymore. We're going to get out as many Stop the Steal hats as we can before Christmas. That's the plan. There's 3. Well, mine is almost done. My mother has done. She does about 2 to my 1 because I do the blocking and the finishing and yeah. So
right.
She got her Christmas present early.
Nice.
She couldn't find her needles, right? So I ordered her a set of shorties, interchangeable, because we knit a lot of hats. And so it's important to have your proper tools. She did not have the proper tools and it was not working as well. So she got her new needles this morning and she is one happy person now, let me tell you. I was letting her use mine, but then I was like, I can't do this without mine. I have to have them back.
Right. I'm sorry.
I love you, but I really need those needles.
We all have our own particular things.
Yeah. Well, you know how it is when you want to, or when you are required to work on something and you can't find the correct tools. Be like my husband. He always says, you could do an oil change with a hammer, but why?
Right.
Get the right tools. It'll go much easier. Exactly. And it's funny because my set, they bought me last year for Christmas. So this year I bought her a set for Christmas and now we should be good for a while.
Right. You should both be ready.
Well, although I am, okay. Do you have interchangeables, Anne?
No.
Apparently.
I have one set that it was like a promotional set that it's an interchangeable needle, but I only have one needle and one cord. So
so it doesn't really do much for you.
No, I think they wanted me to buy the rest of it, but then I didn't. So
yeah. Well, what happens to me is that I start many projects. Many. And throughout the year I go through and I take some out and I can't find like my cords. I have one cord because otherwise I could have been working on it with my needles as well, but nope, can't find the cord, can't find the
Yeah, and so the vast majority of time, like my favorite go-to needles are the Addi Turbo needles, which are not cheap, and I do have a lot of them for how not cheap they are, but I'm like, these are quality needles. I use them a lot. This is, what I'm used to when I grab for knitting needles. But it's also the deal of, okay, so what project are my size 3s in? 5, 6, like where, like, no, I need this now. Like, no, I can't. They're stuck in this project over here or that project over there. Or like the other week I was doing the swatches for the Israeli beanie. So I was trying to find different needles laying around everywhere so I could knit my little squares.
Yeah, you just made me think of it though when you were talking about finding which project they're in. I can order extra cords for mine.
That is true.
I probably should, because I think every time you order a cord, they come with those little end cap stopper things. So like if I really want to keep something on my cord, then I could just take the tips off.
That's true.
Gotta be smarter than the needles sometimes, huh?
Yeah. But well, for some of my sizes, because like I said, I use the Addi Turbo. They're circular needles. Pretty much all of them, I think, are 40-inch cables, because I'll knit it in the round like this and I'll just have the cable hanging off the end. because that's just how I roll.
Yeah, I despise knitting like that. I don't magic loop. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I don't. It
See,
is not.
well, like this is just in the round pattern. It's like, oh, well, I could have a shorter circular, but that's the thing though. I only want to use, I've used basically one set of knitting needles for everything. I do. Like I have some double pointed needles, you know, I have some regular straight needles, but essentially I am going to be using the 40-inch circulars no matter what the project is.
Yeah,
And
see, I'm not like that.
but yeah, just
I love hat needles. I love the 16-inch needles for my hats. I love it because it just goes around and around in a circle. I don't have to readjust anything. I just knit. And I just do what I'm doing, especially with stranded. Man, if I had to deal with that needle, then I would be like probably having lumps where the cable was sticking out. And
yeah, and I mean, when you're decreasing a hat, I have to pull through both sides like I was doing you know, a 2 at a time sock or something. So that is a little annoying, but again, not annoying enough for me to stop doing it.
That's funny. No, yeah, best Christmas gift ever was a pair of those 2 3/4 inch interchangeable cube needles so stuff doesn't come off because they're square instead of round. I love them. I love them. But hey, that's why they make all the different things because, you know. And I watch you knit and I think it's so fancy looking because you're like a continental and I'm a thrower and I'd probably be faster if I learned how to do continental, but I can only do that when I'm doing color work. Yeah. When you do color work, do you hold them both in one hand or do you do one in each?
I do one in each hand. But like I'm still, you know, trapped in Intarsia land. So whenever I do the purl side row, I can only do it in my left hand. That I cannot purl with my right hand. So then yeah, purl rows are always slow.
So when I purl, I have to hold them both with my right hand because that's how I purl. I do not know how to purl continental, which would probably be easier when I'm trying to figure out Intarsia, but I've never figured it out. So
there you go. But I mean, like, you know, with all the Intarsia I do, that you have it breaks all of the knitting rules that you're supposed to have. You know, that you have this set down rule book and you're like, okay, so if you do color work, it should, you know, like Fair Isle color work, it's always in the rounds and it's only knit stitches and no purls. And you shouldn't have the stretches, have a long way in between different color work sections and all of that. And I'm like, yes, these are good rules. I appreciate these rules. And then I do Intarsia knitting, like, yeah, none of those rules apply. So we're just, yeah, you don't want to knit back and forth on your Intarsia color work. I'm like, that is literally all I do. That is, it's like, and you shouldn't carry any yarn behind. Like, no, that's what we're doing. We're carrying yarn behind. We're doing.
Anne is a rule breaker, be it knitting or politics, or she is a rebel.
That's right. I'm a rebel. And I'm a rebel because, I don't know, because I'm a product knitter. I'm not you know, that it's if you want this effect, then you're going to have to break rules in order to get it. If this is your goal, then whatever your goal is, you're just going to have to move things around.
Yeah. So you are a product knitter?
I am a product knitter.
You are not a process knitter. You're not doing it for the. I've never really understood the differentiation, but I know that I'm also a product knitter. Like I am knitting to have a thing when I'm done with it. And sometimes I don't get there, but I try to.
Well, I think part of it is also that, you know, people knit sometimes. Knitting is their hobby and they do it to have a nice time. And I don't know, I think knitting for me has taken up too much to just be a nice time anymore. Now it's competitive.
It is a competitive sport when you knit with Anne.
Right? Well, I mean, and I'm saying that as I knit this cowl, which I am basically knitting because it's for a gift and it will be pretty at the end of it, but I am knitting it because this is a nice time. But I'm not knitting. It's not as if knitting is not something I enjoy, because it is, but I'm not, like, some people will do these very, I don't know, that, and everyone's style is different. So maybe other people look at these shawls like, woohoo, I'd wear it. But some people are wearing what I would think are kind of gaudy shawl patterns. And I mean, if you love it, that's great. But for me, it's like, that looks like it's fun to knit, but not particularly nice to wear.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't knit that, because it's not a useful product to me. Again, other people may like it. Other people may want to wear it. But I'm very, okay, well, what does the end product look like? And is the end product desirable? Which is what kicked me into Intarsia knitting at all, because it's how a lot of people wear clothing. You know, you have the t-shirt with the words on it, that you have a logo, you have a symbol, you have a something on the side. And the majority, again, most of my Intarsia is very plain knitting. And then there's, again, a symbol, a pattern, a flag, something on it.
Trump's head, whatever.
Trump head. So yeah, so
you're saying you're product knitter, but I think that you are a little bit of both. And I think that because if you were a product knitter, I think you would have more patterns out.
Well,
if you were looking to get to an end result, I think that you would release more patterns.
True. If I wasn't, or perhaps part of my joy is getting the perfect end result, which is why I have less patterns.
Hey, are you trying to imply that my stuff isn't perfect?
Your stuff is excellent, and you stick to it. You are on your game. You get stuff out there. You are excellent. But me, it takes a little, I'm persnickety and difficult. Pattern writing does not come to me naturally.
Oh no, I don't know many people that it comes naturally to. Maybe there are some, but I know a lot of people have trouble with it. But as we've discussed before, I also have my very own manufacturing team. I've got my mother who will just knit a thing up and be like, no, that's wrong.
Like, no, this is terrible.
Try again. So
yes. So yeah. There's the one woman show element to it, but
yeah, I don't have that issue. I have a team, a support staff. I have a okay, not really like a support staff, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got my peeps. Got my test knitters I can call up in a bind and be like, hey, I need the hat right now. You're not doing anything important, right?
See, and that's, I don't know, like some of the patterns that I'd like to do, like I said, I have this Trump undesirable #1 pattern idea, and it's like, oh, so am I going to design a whole sweater around this? Man, I'm just there's just going to be a chart, and I trust you. Y'all know what you're doing, right? Yeah. You can
put it on whatever you want to put it on. Have fun.
Yeah. Someone wants to swoop in and write the rest of the sweater pattern, then good for them. But otherwise, just find your favorite plain sweater and just slap it on there.
Mm-hmm.
Or a pillow. Or I don't even know what.
Bro?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Anne is designing that with, lace weight yarn. So I'm sure you could size up and
well,
maybe he wouldn't be so chunky if you use lace weight yarn.
Right. All the delicate details, you'll be able to see them. It'll be great. No, I was only going to do sport weight yarn, but okay. That particular test is in regular acrylic worsted because that's what I do when I do test whatever.
since we don't have any more political stuff, I guess we kind of are. Anne's working on her Christmas gift. I'm working on mine. I think it's coming together a little bit better. I think you can kind of see the detail a little. It's hard to tell because I've only done it like one row of the stitch, but
Right.
I think it's coming together. So thanks everyone for joining us. Sorry we didn't have a bit more about the goings on in the world, but hopefully, well, actually, probably we won't talk about that until after Christmas, because hopefully we'll be having a Christmas party coming up, and then hopefully we'll have more politics to say.
Yes, and hopefully there'll be good politics.
Yes. So we'll see what happens, and thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, see you then. Bye.
Bye.